Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Cirillo, and I'm back. We back, right, with another episode of the Black Lunch Break, man. I'm your boy Cirillo, also Rillo. You can call me Rillo, of course you can, man. And I got my homegirl Sika and Mariana in the building. How y'all doing today?
All right, all right.
What's good, guys? Happy to be back.
Yo, and if y'all just tuning in, man, thank y'all so much. But of course, like any and every time, make sure you liking, comment, also sharing. Right, this is episode 4 of the Black Lunch Break. We're here every single day, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central Time. And if you're on the West Coast, look, if you happen to have a lunch break, early lunch break, because Miss Mariana is out there right now, man. It's 10 a.m. her
Yes,
time, so that means you probably getting some breakfast and probably getting
I'm
some kind
brunching.
of brunching or something. Man, we moving into brunch in the West Coast time right here, y'all. But no, man, so good to have y'all back again. It's another week, another day, another dollar. So election, of course, right? Since this 2020 is on the way, y'all. I believe the deadline for that, I've been seeing some emails come across September 30th. So if you haven't got that done yet, make sure you get that done today. We've been saying this literally since COVID hit, right? Since March 12th, I think, or some craziness like that. We've been talking about the census every single day on this show that we've been on air. And look, y'all, it takes 5 minutes. We had a brother do it on we had a brother do it. One quick second, y'all. But if y'all can hear me out there, we had a brother that came on about the census, man. It took literally 5 minutes. 5 minutes tops. I had somebody just message me the other day and DM me or whatever, and he said that, look, y'all, like, appreciate you, brother, for putting it out there, make sure everybody's taking the census, at least giving reminders every single day. He said, man, I just took it and it took me less than 5 minutes. So literally, it takes only 5 minutes or less to fill out the census, and we got to make sure we counting people across the board, especially Black folks in America and brown folks in America as well. Anyway, as you see on the screen as well, it's 48 days until election day. That's November 3rd, Tuesday, November 3rd. Make sure that you are registered to vote. Check your status in your local counties today. Look, we got too much at stake right now. We got to get 45 up out of there as soon as possible. And on that note, though, we got a special guest from the Biden campaign, Trey Baker, Director of African American Engagement, will be joining us today. So y'all stand by. That's going to be right around the 1:35 Eastern mark, 12:35 Central mark. So y'all make sure y'all stay with us for that portion of the show. And yeah. So anyway, I got a few updates as well for y'all. I'm going to keep on running my mouth a little bit. But there's some impressive things, especially with the coronavirus happening. There's been an uptick around the world. Britain has seen about 30 some more thousand, or maybe 3,300 new cases over in Britain. In Wisconsin, they've seen an uptick about 1,000 new cases every single day since they've reopened completely. I would say about 2/3 of the country now is finally reopened. Maybe about a little less than a third or finding or reversing some of the things that they have reopened on. And then there are some states like Mississippi that are reopening or reversing. But even with that being said, Governor Reeves down in Mississippi has said that, look, basically in so many words, and I'm paraphrasing here, tough luck, y'all. People will catch it, people will die. But look, that's just the situation we're in right now. And so schools will continue to reopen. But for right now, I believe in about 6 or 7 counties within Mississippi are right now about to open for grades 7 through 12 pretty soon. But elementary schools are full back in the swing of things. I know, Sika, you're down there right now. Do you have any updates on what you're saying with the coronavirus update? What are you saying down there? How are people taking the coronavirus right now? It ain't looking too good in the SIP. It ain't looking too good.
Whole volume.
Yeah.
My bad. I was on mute.
He's
As
still on
far
mute.
as the way that everybody is moving around here in Mississippi, it's kind of like it doesn't exist. So out of sight, out of mind, right? So if we feel like we're okay, we're gonna move like that. So the restaurants are still moving along. Of course, there are no big events going on right now, but people are still definitely clubbing. I just saw that there was some Morocco type of event that happened at M Bar, and everybody
They
was
up in there
showing
with the
out.
P Valley.
So
Are they P Valleying out?
it's out of sight, out of mind here in Mississippi. And although Tate Reeves is kind of trying to put a pause on things, he's
Yeah.
still making a statement along the lines of, it's really nothing we can really do about it. We're gonna slowly do this, do that, and it just is what it is. So Mississippi is being Mississippi as always.
Straight up. And there are three leading companies right now, so it's important to pay attention to these companies. There's three, right? So write them down, take a picture, figure out what you need to do. But Moderna, Pfizer, and AstraZeneca are the three companies that are leading the protocols of vaccination trials right now in the country, right? One thing you should know is that China and Russia have already started vaccinating people. They moved beyond the protocols, and I guess they're just like going to wing it. And if people end up, you know, I guess developing antibodies to the actual virus, they're going to roll with it. But here in America, we have not started trials just yet. We haven't started vaccinating anybody just yet. Like I guess like if you look at the heat maps right now, America and South America are on the top of the list, and even portions of Central America as well on the hot spots. You know, also, but like I said, Britain has seen an uptick in the last month or so. Wisconsin again is also on the rise. Florida is still on the up and up. And California, y'all out there seeing some issues, I believe, in the California. Texas is also seeing a rise in some cases as well. I mean, look, y'all, I think the bottom line here is that we got to do everything we can. I know Governor Reeves said down in Mississippi that there's going to be a 2-week mandate to wear masks in school. And after that, you know, so goes that mandate. But that doesn't make sense because we all know that in America, I think a report just went out recently that I think that they're anticipating to have everything wrapped up and quote unquote back to a new normal or in a true phase of new normal by the end of 2021. So it wouldn't make sense at all to have a mandate that only lasts 2 weeks. It just wouldn't make sense. So I don't know where we're going with that. You know, obviously we have a long ways to go and people still have to continue to wear your mask, man, and actually strap up.
Long way to go.
Got a long way to go, y'all. At first they said March, right? When we first started it was like March of 2021 is gonna be back up and going. And then now we're looking at December of 2021 before anything gets back to normal. It's not to scare you. This is more so to put you you know, put you in the game and make sure that you understand exactly what's going on. You protect yourself. And look, we still practicing social distancing, right? You know, we've seen too many schools, whether it be white or black, right? PWIs or HBCUs that are having block parties. They out there having like, you know, they living their best lives. I seen some folks, I think it was down in Georgia. It was a whole house of people that had contracted the coronavirus. And then they had people with no mask on, right? No mask on. And I think it was some like frat boys or something like that down in Georgia. And literally, bro was like, the cop asked him, and now it comes up in the system. So if you actually, I don't know if it's across the nation, but it popped up in the cop system that the guy had in fact tested positive for COVID, right?
Wow.
And so he asked him, he was like, "Yo, bro, like this just popped up in my system." He was like, "Are you positive for COVID?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, about a weekend." And he was like, "Hold, time out. So you don't have a mask on. Nobody in your house has a mask on." He said, "How many people live with you?" He said, "It's 8 of us in this house, right?" I said, so he's like, "It's 8 people there." He said, well, who lives here? He said, 8 people live here, including me. He said, "How many people are here right now?" He said, "Over 10. And then so it was people coming out the house, no mask on. So you can assume that everybody in there just got COVID as well. So you got the 8 people that's currently in there, plus the other 12 that don't live there, right? And so this is happening in real time, folks. Like this is no joke, yo. Honestly,
that
like
is a disaster.
The cop was like, "Hey man, everything just got a little more complicated. I'm gonna need to see all your IDs. I'm assuming that everybody got cited for not being there. I'm pretty sure there's a heightened penalty now for like convening in groups, especially when you're COVID positive." And so, yo, man, like we got to do better. Yo, Chuck, man, appreciate you, bro. Missing you, man, with a little. I wish we had up on doing a little ones and twos, man. But Facebook, I think, about to lock everything down in terms of whether or not we can have music on the show anymore. So we got to get some original music coming up in here. Sika, Black with No Chaser, ME, man. That's another reminder to that. Make sure y'all are popping off and following across all social media platforms. That's Black with No Chaser ME, Black with No Chaser, Black with No Chaser Sports, the Black Lunch Break, and so on and so forth. You name it, we in the building. So anyway, I'm gonna push it. Moving on over to Sika. Yo, we got the verse celebration between Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight, man. What's good with that?
Yo, that
I'm sorry,
was
I had to
like
do it.
some thorough entertainment from all kind of levels. Whether Patty was being petty, I call her Petty LaBelle. Man,
Patty
she had
Cake.
so many different statements that she was making. She did it first. Celine Dion did not do it first. And all of those Louboutins that she had on her damn side, kicking them off, messing up her knees. Listen, these old women, they still got it. They still know how to make us groove. They still know how to make us laugh in the most epic ways. And
Yes,
when
indeed.
Dionne Warwick walked on that stage, I was just like, this is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to see how we can still matriculate throughout the years, no matter how old we get, no matter how seasoned. Let me say that. No matter how seasoned we get, we can still take over the stage. And as we see, Black does not crack. So shout out to Versus Timbaland. Man, you and Swish, y'all doing something good with this. I'm looking forward to seeing who is going to be the next battle. And as always, if you're not following Black with No Chaser ME, make sure that you are on all platforms for all your music and entertainment needs. And we're going to move it on over to
Yo,
Sis. What's good?
I want to stay. I want to ask a question about it. But go ahead, Marion. Go ahead.
Question. Ask your question.
Let's stay on this Patty LaBelle,
Girl,
man.
I
Cause
ain't had no question. We just going to go on and get into You Should Know.
Oh, okay. Damn, cause I
You
want to
gotta
tell
jump
about the.
on. You gotta jump on it. This is my time.
That's true. That's my bad.
My time. All right,
My
everybody.
bad. My bad.
I'm Miss Mariana, and this segment is officially over here on Facebook now. I've been doing it for the last, I don't know, month and a half
Month and a
over
half.
on IG, right? And the segment is hashtag You Should Know. And so, I'm a big thing in being a community correspondent that I can't tell you what to think. I can't tell you how to feel, but I can tell you what hashtag you should know. And then you can go as community members and make your educated decisions, do your own research. One of my favorite scholars and spiritual fathers always says, don't take my word for it, do your research. But I
Okay.
can share with you what hashtag you should know, right? So kind of carrying over from the last You Should Know that we had informally to this formal one. Last time we talked about bartering, we talked about food prep. So clearly I'm all about Black lifestyle and redefining that in a way that's healthy, right? And so a lot of my work is, number one, to demystify, number two, to amplify, and number three, to prioritize, right? So I was talking to a friend the other day, and I save my seeds, especially when I'm growing my own fruits and vegetables. And I say that I'm saving money. I literally say that I'm saving money. And I was talking to a friend about how my seeds are actually money, right? Because look, you guys, it's real. Like when I say I save my seeds, they're in vials. Like these is bags of money. And for one bell pepper, for one watermelon, for one, right? That 1, 2, 3 seeds can harvest more and more and more, right? And so the concept that I really want to introduce to us is, non-traditional savings plans. And when we talk about Black economics, we're talking about reparations. We're talking about, having properties and buildings and land. But what's going to happen if we don't know how to manage that land and live a lifestyle that is not all about convenience, right? So one of the big things that I want to demystify is when we hear the word sustainability, I often hear that's a white folk thing, right? Oh, that's what they do. They bring in their gentrification, they recycle, they're all about sustainability. And we gotta teach it. We teach that, right? And so my big thing is hashtag own your shit. We got to really break down that positive human activity is positive human activity, no matter what group of people you are, right? I could look at the Asian community up the block and how they buy it up. I look at the Mexican community, how they work together with food and trade and barter. And so we need to get out of this concept of thinking that everything is positive, everything is nerdy. That makes it non-cool, that makes it non-Black, that makes it white. Somebody in the comments, give me a fist pound if you feel me, when you've actually seen positive attributes being contributed as like not cool, like being smart in school. I kind of got bullied for being a smart person, right? And so I really want to demystify this idea that money saving is something that we don't do. And what does money saving look like? It's not always about the actual physical dollar. It's about seeds, right? And so in demystifying that and saying, you know, living sustainably is not just a white thing. It's something that I think we need to amplify by saying indigenous and African peoples all around the globe, we're all about sustainability. The way of life and the tradition of African tradition was you didn't waste no part of the animal. You didn't waste no part of the land. You give thanks and praise to anything that you cultivated, received from, and then you replanted and replenished it. And that is kind of a sustainability. That's saving the planet, that's saving the seeds, that's caring for the animal, that's caring for family. And what I find that I think it's important to kind of amplify is that we're big on taking the attire from African culture. All of us wearing red, black, and green. We wearing hair wraps, right?
We love it.
We want to do the dance. We want to, but sometimes I think we're selective about when it's time for us to amplify and celebrate and observe Black culture. It is more of the cultural entertainment or the cultural expression. But is it not an expression to go back and look at not just what the ancestors wrote in history, but what they did? We lived and we cultivated on the land. We understood to save everything from the rooter to the tutor. Nothing went wasted. That was living sustainably. And that was, in essence, a savings plan, right? And how we cultivated things and how we respected and gave honor and we didn't waste things, right? So I just really want to demystify the idea that only certain groups of people are doing it now because those certain groups of people have been raping the earth, that we as indigenous people have already been about cultivating, saving, and preserving the land and living one
I
way,
mean,
right?
let me just say this though. I will say this though, on a sustainability, I've been putting my batteries in the fridge for a long time, and I've been trying to find ways to sustain my battery life, right? I mean, that would be no, I'm just joking because I feel like, yo, because like I remember my boy mom's, like she put everything in the freezer, everything. I'm talking about butter, bread.
That deep
I
freezer,
mean,
yo.
dog, let me tell you something. See, we ain't talking about them old school like mamas and grandmas where everything got frozen. Everything, right? Ooh, culturetainment. That's actually a dope phrase. I'm feeling that. But like everything got frozen. Bro, she used to have bread on bread on bread. I remember one time she ran, she's like, baby, go in the freezer. Go in
Yeah,
the freezer and
that
get some
deep
bread.
freezer.
I mean, now I get it. Now, they ain't necessarily that this sustainability you talking about,
Right.
right? We're talking about planting seeds.
It is.
And
It is.
because like I feel like a lot of times though we do waste a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, across the board, humans generally speaking
Right.
waste a lot. Like we don't really know how to make a dollar stretch,
Right.
right?
Right.
We don't know how to make food stretch. We overeat, right?
Right.
We overindulge. Look, people get on me all the time. They say I eat like a bird, but I'm like, look, bro, I don't want to overeat. I just want to eat to actually sustain myself.
Right.
And so I think a lot of us are doing more because we just, I think in America, there's always been an abundance of
Yeah.
things around us, generally speaking, for a lot of people, that we tend to live lives that are
Yeah.
unsustainable, I should say.
Absolutely.
And
We
so,
sleep a lot on how spoiled we are.
Yeah.
I see that a lot. Yeah, we have to be more grateful because in those moments when we are, maybe strapping for cash, we know how to sustain. We
Right.
know how to not run out. We know that we need to wait till tomorrow or not spend this today. And
Right.
the method of being spoiled in America has kind of gotten us set in our ways
Right.
and has us not putting enough effort into actually living. Because
Right.
I feel like there's a huge benefit with being able to sustain the way that you are eating, just
Yeah.
everything, being able to depend on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Dependence on self is probably the biggest safety net that
Right.
any of us could all afford to have, for sure. So
Absolutely.
we have to really get out of that spoiled way of living
Yeah.
because of
And sorry, I'm sorry. Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Oh, go ahead.
Even as African people, we kind of dealing with it on both ends. So as African people, we come from this generational trauma of lack and disparity and
Yeah.
scraping and overcompensating. So if we were starving when we were young, we gonna eat it all, and that's where you see a lot of the eating disorders. And then on top of that, having this fast forward into America, into technology. even the advent of plastic. A lot of people don't know that most plastics that were ever created on the face of the earth still exist, because most plastics, they're not biodegradable. So every tire, most of the tires that we have, they're in the bottom of the ocean. Just because you don't see them anymore doesn't mean that they're not being disposed of in our precious waters, right? So just really reframing some of the disparity that we come from and the trauma that we come from because of slavery, but then kind of disconnecting from some of the positive things that, and the skills in tending to the earth and tending to the soil, and understanding that if we're going to eat a chicken, the average Black person wants to eat chicken, doesn't know how to chase down a chicken, snap its neck, pluck its feathers, and cook that thing. Let's be
Yo,
real.
I'm gonna tell you right now, dog. I tried to, when you grew up in the hood, I don't know about y'all. We grew up in the hood. We had chicken fights all the
Right,
time, right?
right.
Chicken fights, and I used to be thinking about. I used to be like, yo, people got chicken, and they used to put razor blades on
Yep.
the chicken, right? I'm just talking about just real, this is some real
Real
hood shit,
deal.
y'all. But ain't no, I'm telling you right now, they used to really be handling them chickens and moving them around and grabbing them. I'm like, bro, I'm not grabbing nobody chicken. That's why to me though, like the more and more I start thinking about what happens to chickens and happens to animals, we've been talking about this for a while, but yo, across the board, our diet's got to get better, right? Our environment's got to get better. You know what I mean? What we put into our bodies, whether it be what the air we breathe, the water we drinking, the soil we're using, the food we are consuming, man. Look, and that's why I'm glad we got Trey Baker coming on board today from the Joe Biden's campaign. Look, he's a director of African American engagement. But he's also a guy that's right from the SIP, man. Somebody that born and raised in the South, man. Worked on Capitol Hill, man. He'll be here soon to talk about some of those things and really dig deep in some of these policy points about environmental justice,
Yes.
racism, racial equity, right?
Yeah.
What does racial equity actually mean in the economic context? And
Yeah.
so these are some of the things we'll be touching on within the next 14, 13 minutes now. Trey Baker will be on the show. So y'all make sure y'all stay tuned for that. If you're just joining in, hey, this is the Black Lunch Break, episode 4, season 2, y'all. We back
Yeah.
and we better all day, man. I hope y'all enjoying the new look of the Black Lunch Break. We got Sika in the building. We got Mariana in the building. And make sure y'all sharing this to y'all
Hey.
networks and all that good stuff like that, yo. So
Yeah.
anyway, Mariana, back to you.
I want to just close out, right? Because again, my approach to things is demystify what's not true, amplify what is true. We need to know the real from the unreal. But then my thing is not always to tell people what they should know, but give realistic suggestions, right? I always try to have not a why, but a how, because it's great to talk about being healthier, sustainable, trading seeds, bartering, all these things. But like, how do we do that in the day to day? What is the first step, right? And so I think in prioritizing start moving into more of a sustainable way of looking of how to seed save. So these little vials I got from the dollar store, right? And I want to not only say that we need to do this for ourselves as adults, but this is an activity that we can actually do with children, right? So in your home, for now on, when you eat a piece of fruit or you eat a vegetable, it's somebody's job to save the seed, right? And then you spread them out on a paper towel, you let them dry, and then you make sure they're dry all the way so they don't mold, and then you put them in a container and you save them and you label them. But the next step is not only to go through the motions of seed saving, right? One of the most precious things, whether it's a human seed or a plant seed, is making sure we know how to identify them. And that's where we can bring the children in, right? So this seed is a cantaloupe seed, and they look very different than a crooked neck squash, butternut squash seed. And so this is a game that you can actually do, not only for children so that they're learning, but with elders and teaching them how to keep their memories strong, right? And so then the same way, remember, back in the day, you used to play with Monopoly money to understand how to count your money or your coins, the fake money, because they wouldn't trust you with the real money when you was a baby. You can start, okay, how big is a cantaloupe when it grows? How big is a squash? Okay, I'll trade you one squash for one cantaloupe. And this is how we can intrinsically start to make it cool to cultivate the children. It's math, it's science, it's creativity. And then once they learn and they have whatever seeds for a certain season, then you say, let's plant that seed. And I remember in kindergarten, when we took that little milk carton, we put some dirt and put that little tomato seed in there, and we actually got to watch it grow. That was so exciting for me. So that's one suggestion. And the last suggestion is getting into the concept of recycling, right? And a lot of us don't recycle unless our garbage can is full. It starts overflowing, and then maybe we'll separate it, right?
I ain't gonna lie, I gotta do better.
Right. And
I
we
gotta
know
do
certain
better.
households that recycle because they have a certain, they interject in a certain way. Like, I'll take that for you, right? Because it's clearly, there's a connection to making sure it doesn't go into the garbage, right? So lastly, I want to say that repurposing is also recycling. Recycling isn't always getting rid of the container or going and getting money for it. Recycling is rinsing out a container, because if y'all old school, y'all mama used that Miracle Whip jug, that butter jug, you know, with the top. That was your Tupperware with it spent $15.99
country butter
piece of Tupperware, right? So understanding that we, just like he pointed out, the deep freezer and being able to buy in bulk and keep in bulk, we have been doing sustainable things. So instead of buying all the Tupperware and more plastic that gets wasted because it's stained or you lost the top, start repurposing, using the laundry detergent to store certain things in, rinsing it out good, bleaching it out good, using the old bottle and just refilling, instead of buying dish soap over and over, getting one large thing of dish soap and then refilling one. So just the concept of seeing recycling as that plastic doesn't need to be wasted, I can reuse it for something else. So I really hope that this resonates with a few people in terms of repurposing and recycling.
Not only does it resonate, I want to say that having a community correspondent is hella important, because every time we engage in conversations, I take those conversations with me through my daily walk.
Good.
For instance, our conversations last week about meal prepping and also emotionally spending.
Yeah.
Listen, ever since we've had that conversation, every day I'm like paying attention, like, okay, am I about to emotionally spend right now because I'm just hungry and I don't want to really think about what I really want to eat or take the time out to prepare what I want to eat. So I appreciate having these type of conversations that make me think enough in order for me to change my lifestyle for better, because it's necessary. All of these conversations are necessary.
And we just need to make it easy and smooth and practical. I think that's one thing I'm very grateful for, is a lot of people, they say, I know I need to do better, but the way you bring it in conversation, you make it a little bit more attainable. It doesn't have to be an overnight process. We didn't come to this very degenerative, wasteful lifestyle. You know, it took a matter of time, but you know, again, demystifying the idea of convenience being better, when convenience is making you, it costs so much. If it costs so much money, if it costs so much physical damage, if it costs so much waste of time, right? And understanding that all of the actions that we do to preserve our heart, our mind, our spirit is a meditation. It is a way of life. And we have to stop looking at it as a humdrum chore. We have to look at it as like, man, I feel so, one sister last week, she was like, man, after I do my food prep, I feel like I got it going on. Like, I feel productive. I feel well planned out. And that energy carries over into the other things that we do.
I ain't gonna lie though, I be struggling with the like yo, so as somebody that cooks, right? That really does cook. The meal prep to me is, and no, and if you meal prepping, you should continue to meal prep. I think it's a fantastic thing. For me though, it just becomes a little boring, right? Like it's like cooking in mass quantity to me is a little mundane. You know what I mean? Like I got all these sweet potatoes. I ain't about to eat sweet potatoes for the next, like, I don't know how many days. And, you know, after a while you're veggie. So if you got like, so for me, like personally speaking, like I can maybe do one day, right? Maybe 2 days. But I be seeing people like, yo, I just meal prep for the week. I'm like,
well,
yo,
let me challenge that though, because when I do meal prep, and I'm like you, I'm a very experimental person. But when I say meal prep, I don't mean 40 containers that already have pre-prepped meals. That's when you start to get into the traditional changes necessary when you're trying to count carbs and fat. When I say food prep, get for the week. First of all, I only go to the farmer's market once a week. So I buy fresh fruits and vegetables by the week. But when I do my food prep, it's just in one large container. The bell peppers are already chopped up. The kale's finely chopped up. The chicken's already roasted. So that when I'm creating day to day, my meals are very, very different. I don't like being locked into it, but I know the nutritional value of certain things. It's the ability to grab and go and have everything already prepared. So
you're talking about the preparation of the actual like slicing and dicing and having that ready to go. Okay, yeah, because like I can't really do, personally speaking, I ain't about to do 5 days worth of chicken. Like at some point, I can't eat Cause like, I got 3 meals a day, and if I'm eating chicken for lunch and dinner, I'm zapped by day 1.5. Like
Right.
I ain't about to sit up there and play with you and hold you. Now I ain't gonna hold you. Like me personally, I ain't about to do chicken 4 days in a row. Now I love chicken, but I ain't about to do baked chicken breast. I be seeing people eating the same chicken breast for like 4 days. I'm like, ma'am, sir, how are you doing that?
And
Like,
for the week, so it's not that much. So you can have a variety of things. So in terms of protein, you can do so much chicken, so much turkey, so much boiled eggs, and then have them prepared and ready to go. So for me, I like variety. I can't eat the same thing over and over. I'm too colorful of an eater. I change the flavors. It's going to be Moroccan one day, Indian. But the concept is the bulk of my fruits and veggies, everything already being there, cleaned and prepared to go. It actually makes it easy when you go in there because you can have more fun and, oh, I already got this, I already got that. So I'll start sharing and posting more of my pictures of what I had. Like right now I am eating poultry, which I go back and forth between vegan. I eat vegan, vegetarian, and poultry. This morning I had some bomb bok choy, sweet potatoes, and some roasted chicken, but it took me 5 minutes to make it because all those things were already ready to go. And so it just made it a lot faster. And then I was able to fluff the curls after coming out the braids and be ready for y'all today.
For sure. Seek, I think it's about that time. Seek, it's about that time, man. Is it like,
It is,
I feel
man.
like it's
Get
the
your sage
time,
ready
man.
if you
Get your
don't have it
sage.
ready.
Where is,
It's about that time.
damn, I don't have my sage
So look,
again today.
next week your girl will be.
I'm gonna have to start doing a singing run every time.
Go on and sing, girl.
Sorry,
It's
I'm sorry.
all
I
good.
love this part.
But listen, next week, your girl will be experiencing turning 32. So on next week, I have decided that I'm gonna do a liquid fast. Now, if you are not familiar with fasting, I have this little document on the screen. Fasting does something to you that cannot be explained with human language. You become aware of just how habitual the act of eating has become. Many of us do not eat for hunger, we eat for pleasure. Absence of constant pleasure exposes you to the emotions you mask with your habits, and you are finally exposed to who you really are. This is where the healing process starts physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Now, that is today's Saging with Sika moment. But before I leave with you guys, if you want to follow my fasting journey, just make sure you're following me on Instagram, and I'll be sharing on my stories my liquid fast and what I'll be doing during those times. And we have our special guest here with us today, Mr. Trey Baker. Thank you so much for joining us, good sir.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on?
Good today, brother. But listen, before we get into this show, I want to play this voting video. The name of this video is called The Future. And this video is by Dollar Black. Mississippi votes. Make sure that you vote.
5 weeks. The future, and I see it clear. If you take a look around, you can see it's near. Black. Up to us. Yeah. This may be the realest thing I ever wrote. The biggest effort of me trying to give my people hope. I've been talking, now I'm trying out a new approach. I'm just a vessel, credit go to Mississippi votes. Let me show you where we count the most. If I can, let me show you what we got at stake. Pay attention, listen good, ain't no time to break. It's elections every single year here in our state. And with that I say time is of the essence. If we trying to see a change, then it's time for the lessons. Time out for just following trends and not knowing we influence the wind. Again and again we lack knowledge and importance of presence and expect that things just gon' change. Instead we gon' educate the youth on how to play the game. In 10 years it won't be the same. Cause we are the future and I see it clear. If you take a look around, you can see it's near. I know it's new to some, but look, it ain't no need to fear. It always come a time to learn, and that time is here. The future and it need me. Built for it, so we make it look easy. On the front line, more it's a plus, and they say the state needs to change. It's up to us. A campaign led by POC. College students and volunteers gonna get us free. Facing charges from groups you can't believe. Getting people in circuit courts can intervene. Yeah. All because we knew who we were looking for. Did research before the time came to vote. We breaking records down here. Oh, you didn't know? Largest youth engagement since 1964. Include, engage, collaboration. Empowering our people with our innovation. Antique is what it is, they testing our patience. We need apps instead of driving to the voting stations. Get out the vote for the community you want to see. Be the voice for the candidate you want to be. No longer looking at our parents for the change. Now I'm looking in the mirror because the answer start with you and me. Yeah, the future and I see it clear. If you take a look around, you can see it's here. I know it's new to some, but look, it ain't no need to fear. It always come a time to learn and that time is here. The future and it need me. Build for it so we make it look easy. On the front line, more is a plus. And they say the state need to change. It's up to us. And I say we are the future because in a couple years, the youth only know the work that we did. It's up to us to stress the importance of every election cycle. It's up to us to educate and inform the youth about the entire process. From ranked choice ballots to local government matters. It's up to us.
Hey,
Woo! Shout out Dollar Black, man. It's up to
Dollar
us, yo. Ride the sip, man. And I was every time so it's like my 5th time hearing
Welcome
that
back,
song.
everybody. You are now tuned in to the Black Lunch Break. This is episode 4 with our special guest, Trey Baker. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Thank y'all for having me. It is an honor and a privilege to be here and to be a guest. So I just appreciate y'all for having me.
Trey, man, so good to see your face, brother. How have you been doing, man? I know you've been on the campaign trail now for almost a year. And so how have you been holding up on the campaign trail so far during this trying and very, very interesting time we're in?
Well, before I answer that, I'm gonna say one thing of personal privilege. Big shout out to Cirillo. I know Cirillo as an intern from Capitol Hill. And this brother, it's something about folks who have the audacity to do the thing. He was always in the mix. He was always at everything. He was in rooms that I couldn't get in.
I probably shouldn't have been there.
Right. He had snuck in. I tried to. Yeah. And so this brother, I just want to say how proud I am of you, brother. How well you're doing out here in this platform, CJ and everybody else. Just really want to just show y'all love on building the platform, becoming a voice that everyone has to go through in order to have these important conversations of the day. So before I say anything, I just wanted to recognize y'all for the work you've done and for the platform that you've built. To answer your question, man, I'm tired as hell right now, Cirillo. Yeah. I've been on the campaign trail. It's been like 400 days or something like that. And it's just like a crazy amount of time to do anything. But this is summarily the most important thing I've ever done, the most important election of our lifetimes. So for 49 more days, I can lean in. Y'all know I'm from Tougaloo, Gamma Rho chapter, Kappa Alpha Psi. So shoot, I'm a made noob. I can do anything for 49 days.
Look, listen,
49 days. Yes,
we
indeed.
can do anything for however many days. How many days?
Exactly.
Exactly. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. I take a Tougaloo over anything.
Well, bro, we know we only got you for another 15 minutes or so, man. So we want to make sure we make use of the time, man. Look. And just so people know, man, this is going to be one of probably many, people that's going to be coming to the stage, man. We're going to try and dig deep into what is in it for Black America, right? As we try to figure out whether or not, I know that people talked about there's really no choice out here, but obviously you always have a choice. But we want to make sure that when you make that choice on sound ground. So we want to make sure that we hear it from the horse's mouth, somebody from the campaign that's been there from almost ground zero, man. So thank you again for joining us, Trey. But my first question to you is the fact that we've been hearing a lot of talk about a lot of ambiguous, or people call ambiguous or vague language about what does that mean, what does this mean, and so in the context of economic mobility, right, and closing the racial wealth and economic gaps. What is the intention of the Biden campaign to actually do just that in terms of closing the wealth gaps, income gaps in America for Black folks?
Well, I go back to 3.5 years ago when Donald Trump came on the scene and he said, to Black people. What in the hell do you have to lose? And fast forward 3.5 years later, and we see that we have absolutely everything to lose, including our lives. So from the very outset of COVID-19 and everything else, things were still going in a bad direction in terms of this administration and our people. But COVID-19 has done nothing but exacerbate what's going on. Black folks are dying at higher levels than anybody right now. On the economic side, we're hurting worse than anybody. We are the essential workers. And so we have to not only expose ourselves by being essential workers, but then on the back end, we have to still have the economic downturn affecting us. So that sets the scene for it. In the face of that, Joe Biden wants to make sure that we're on the path for wealth creation for the Black community. And so that's about, really about creating equity in the country, getting rid of those impediments that were put in the way due to systemic racism one way or another, whether it's through the government or through anything else, and getting rid of that form of systemic racism by injecting into the system. So one thing he's going to do is he's going to commit $150 billion to CDFIs and Black-owned banks. So these are institutions that are lending to Black people right now and putting money into the community. He's going to provide for, a $15,000 home buyer tax credit so that folks can go in and participate in the American dream, one, but two, get access to the most important investment that you're ever going to have in your life, which is your home. And then across the board on the education side, provide a path for folks to be able to get to it. And so, when you talk about HBCUs in particular, there's going to be a $70 billion investment there. There's going to be basically free tuition for anybody who goes to a public or a private HBCU, as long as their household income is less than $125,000. So really, Cirillo, across the board, he is going to, and he and Senator Harris will both be injecting capital into the system that will benefit the Black community. And that more so than anything. And we can go into small businesses. We can go into what's going to happen through the Small Business Administration and all that. But it's about access to capital, and it's about being able to relieve some of this debt and take some of that monkey off our backs. And there's a strong commitment to doing that from Joe Biden.
Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate it. I know that I don't know if y'all want to get a follow up, but I do, and I think this is the salient question. Really, probably the question is asked more than any question out there, and I'm pretty sure maybe if you Trey, what I'm about to ask is what is in it within the first 100 days, right? Biden and Harris get elected November 3rd. We're marching on to January 2021 now. We had Inauguration Day. Within that first 100 days, what is the intent of the Biden campaign or Biden-Harris new administration, or hopefully new administration for Black America? Like what's in within those 100 days? Have y'all hashed that out yet? What is that looking at?
Yeah, those conversations are going on right now in terms of the 100-day agenda. But right from the very start, Cirillo, what the newest administration is going to mean from day one is that across every agency. So whether you're talking about the Small Business Administration, you're talking about USDA and USDA rule development, you're talking about the Department of Transportation, all these areas will, we're going to have a threshold issue in a Biden-Harris administration that essentially makes sure that there's Black leadership. There are Black people through every rank in government. And so just when you get to day one, not even day 100, it's going to be a whole new feel and a whole new way of looking at government, where we're going to be talking about equity across the board. And so every question of government will be answered in that first day around equity, making sure we have leadership in the right agencies, and then moving forward with the agenda. The first thing is getting a hold of COVID-19, right, and getting a hold of this crisis. that's gonna impact everybody. That's not, of course that's gonna impact Black people, but it will help us because our rates of getting COVID, our rates of dying from COVID will be even more. So when you jump in, you actually come up with a plan to try to get rid of or do something to help COVID-19. That's going off top, we're going to benefit. So I think just strict change across the board is what you should expect to see from day one. And then a series of things through Department of Education. I mean, Betsy DeVos is the most horrible thing that could happen to education right now. And so from jump, we're going to have people who Joe Biden is committed to making sure that a teacher or an educator is going to be the Secretary of Education, which makes sense to me. So whether it's appointing officials, whether it's creating an agenda that actually has Black people in mind, and then appointing Black people across every form of government. Joe Biden has made a commitment that his administration will look like America. Right now, the campaign looks like America. We had our diversity numbers to come out the other day, and we have 40 or so, 40+% of the staff are people of color. You have more than half of our folks on staff and in senior leadership position who are women. And so we're practicing what we're preaching as a campaign. And so the same thing will happen in the administration, especially in those early days.
So you'll definitely be injecting way more color for America to see more color, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and something I do want to say about that too is in terms of seeing more color. It's about seeing more color, and it's about more color being in the jobs. I think back on the Republican convention, right? And you saw all those folks that Donald Trump kind of put up on stage. All the folks your mama looks sideways at, like,
and they all got that same, and they all got that.
Am I supposed to trust this?
Haircut. You got that same corny ass haircut.
Yeah. Everybody ain't got no line. Yeah, nobody got a line. The whole.
God damn.
No, I don't trust nobody who ain't got no line. No matter how far back it goes, you still gotta have one. And so,
I can't.
With that, you see all those folks marched up on stage, all those people talking. But then if you take those people who are up on stage and you put that up against actual senior leadership that he has in his cabinet, has in judicial positions, has in senior leadership across the government, I bet he put more folks up on that stage in terms of tokenism than he ever did in appointing people to actual office within the federal government.
Right. Absolutely. Putting your friends.
So yeah, it's important that we see it, but it's also important that it's acted upon. I see folks who are in the, I see folks who are in the comments right now who will be fantastic leaders in government in a Biden-Harris administration. So yeah, you will see it, but you will also feel it because you'll know the folks who are there.
I tell you, and my round, I don't know if you want to jump in, and if not, though, I got a question on a very important issue, right? So Congressman Bobby Scott, right, has put forth or at least introduced a bill in the House called the Safe Justice Act, y'all. So Safe Justice Act, and y'all should look it up right now as we begin to kind of dive into it a little bit, right? Trey, real quick, man, because we ain't got a lot of time. What is the Safe Justice Act and some of the core tenets around it to make sure people understand exactly what is the commitment by the Biden campaign to ensuring that Bobby Scott's Safe Justice Act is passed at some point in the first, Congress or whatever,
Yeah, so Congressman Bobby Scott has been a great friend of the campaign, and he's leaned in not only in criminal justice reform, but also as a part of our education plans too. So here it is. So what the Biden plan ended up drawing out from Bobby Scott as it relates to criminal justice is a commitment to not having privatized prisons, just getting rid of privatized prisons. The money motivation from from privatized prisons is what drives some of these prosecutions in the first place. Abolishing the cash bail system. So, you got people being held because you've got, $400 that you can't pay, but you're being held up and have to basically
language in jail for a goddamn parking ticket,
you sitting there. And so whether it's that, whether it's decriminalizing marijuana and expunging the records of those with marijuana convictions, the Biden plan closely resembles what Congressman Bobby Scott has put out. I'll go even further to say Joe Biden also wants to take on policing, and we know that that's the issue of the day. So from the very jump, Joe Biden would get rid of chokeholds. Just chokeholds are outlawed in and of themselves from jump. Making sure that in police misconduct cases there was an independent prosecutor. Looking at things like that 1033 program where police departments are militarized, and demilitarizing police departments all over the country, pulling back on qualified immunity. Those types of things are going to be so important to look at, to make changes on. And so we were able to come up with our criminal justice plan as a result of the good work that Bobby Scott is doing.
And folks out there, just so y'all know, man, ending cash bail is going to be crucial. Right here in DC, we see it already happening. There's a cash bail, but basically for like a minor traffic violation, or if you're in there for a minor offense, for a misdemeanor, things of that nature, literally there's almost like virtually no cash bail. I think it's like a $50 kind of fine, and then you kind of get out. There's nobody paying 10% of $100,000 bond or whatever the case may be. These are ways in which people just literally, I know people right now from going to law school down in Mississippi that have died in prison while waiting to be released on cash bail. And so these type of systems are very predatory. They work in tandem with prosecutors and DAs and law enforcement to make sure that people that are disenfranchised, people that are low income, people that are economically insecure don't have a pathway to receiving true justice in America. And so I'm glad the Biden campaign, while in the early going, is going to be tackling this particular issue. Marianne, I see you with your hand up.
So yeah, but I know we're dwindling on time. I want to kind of strip it down to some bare bone basics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because there's going to be some people who are watching this right now who are totally dialed in because they're politically aware, they're politically active. And there's a lot of people in our community that are completely tempted to switch the channel because maybe some things are going over their head, right? And I'm always mindful of those groups because those are the groups because they're not active, they're not aware, they excuse themselves or they're not invited. And I want to make sure that those people feel invited to the conversation, no matter what level of awareness that we're at, right? And so, just really looking at like the political polarization of things, not just the extreme ideologies of whether you're, Democrat, Republican, wherever you are, but just kind of that happening within the Black community, right? Just these extreme ideas, which are deeply rooted in our emotions, rightfully so. And there's a lot of Black folks who are just on that cusp of like, I don't even believe in the system. Like the system doesn't serve me well. It doesn't matter my vote. Like, I feel like we need to make sure to address that. And I want to know what would be the top one or two things that you would tell somebody that's maybe never voted before, right? And they're hearing it over and over, but they're still counting themselves out, or they feel it doesn't matter. Maybe who doesn't understand all the laws, the policies, and all these things, but you still know that their vote matters. What would you say to that young brother or sister who's maybe the first time voting and doesn't see the importance of it because they're out of school, they're out of work, they're like, there's nothing out here for me, it doesn't matter. What would you say to that young viewer, Black person right now?
So the couple of things that I would say is first this, I would tell that person to kind of fall back from the conversation a little bit in terms of like, sometimes we get stuff so mixed up in politics and policy, and just like I was explaining all that just there, I probably wouldn't explain it like that for that person. I would say just look around. Yes. Look at your friend who's a single mother who has 2 jobs right now, yes, and her child can't go to school And so she has to find a way for her child, either through her grandparents or somebody else, to go to school and get her classes. But the grandparents don't have Wi-Fi. So what do you do to go and help your child to get Wi-Fi? Think about your kid who has is playing Pop Warner football and has a coach, and they cancel the season. And that's your only outlet for them to do anything and to do things that's productive with their lives. Pull back a little bit and look at, all the angst that we're feeling right now. Like, we can't go outside. We can't go and go to, I know Cirillo love happy hour. We can't go to happy hour. We can't do anything. And so that angst that you're feeling and all that is the result of what happens when people don't vote, or when people vote for the wrong person. And on a universal basis, then you put back the policy, then put it back everything. But just look at our lives right now and how we're sitting around and can't have this conversation in person because of the decisions of the leaders that are in office right now. And it's just your regular everyday thing. The other thing I would say is this, as an engagement point, look at local politics. Local politics impacts our lives. I like to say that local politics impacts our lives right now, and then these national politics impact our children's lives and our grandchildren's lives. Right. And so the 30 feet around your house is what most people are concerned about, and just look at that and use that as an entry point. Look at those DA races. Look at those that prosecutor who prosecuted Brother Flowers here in Mississippi 7 times over and over again, right in my home county in Grenada. Look at the injustice that was done to him. Look at that sheriff's office race. That's gonna dictate who's in charge locally. And so if you can connect them to local issues and see how important it is, and how Mr. Such and Such not good for your mama now, then I'd start there and then work them up to the presidential and all that. But yeah, I'd say it's about, just really looking at the impact that people can have on your lives. Like a single person kind of messes up for a generation.
Right. I appreciate it. I think sometimes we get so heavily focused on inclusiveness, but we don't even sometimes see the privileges that we have on having amount of education, and then we forget about making sure to even the playing, healing, and the learning field for those who might not even feel like they belong. And so I really appreciate that, because there may be someone viewing right now who's like, okay, the terminology is going over my head. I'm not really abreast on things. I think that's important that we include those folks in the conversation and let them know that they matter. Yeah.
And appreciate that, Maria.
Those are the folks who are going to make the difference. The people who've been out here voting the whole time, they're going to keep voting.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, y'all. We got about 2 more minutes left here with Trey Baker. I mean, before we go though, I want to make sure that and I just got to ask, right? And this is really so that way you can speak to every Black person out there that possibly are watching this and beyond, right? Is right now you're at the ballot box. You got to decide between Trump and Biden, right? Why should somebody right now be casting a ballot for the Biden-Harris ticket?
Well, it's simple. It's the things that I look at your life as it is right now today. And do you think it would be better if someone else were in charge? That someone else has experience, that someone else has a plan, not only for COVID-19, but for higher education, for healthcare, for criminal justice reform. And so, do you want to continue? Can you actually fathom your life in another 4 years with Donald Trump is the first thing I'll say. The second thing I would say is that, you want someone who has plans, has the proven ability to execute on those plans. And you want someone who is going to have your best interests at heart. I believe that Joe Biden, no matter what your feelings may be about politics and about, politicians and everything else, he's someone who actually cares about people. And I would take that any day of the week, because I think that's something that's missing someone who cares and can understand and has people around him who understands. And I think that's as important as anything. The last thing I'll say, because I don't want to get out here before this, is that, and this is separate from the question, but I think people need to right now start making that voting plan. Like they need to find a way to get to that booth in order to make that decision. So whether it's voting by mail, voting safely in person, voting early, create that plan right now and come up with the 5 or 6 or 10 people who you're going to take with you. Because right now we're in a voting season. It's no longer about election day. There are so many options to vote by mail, vote early, do everything else. In large cities like Atlanta and Milwaukee and Philadelphia, they're going to be opening up the NBA arenas in some of these cities for folks to be able to come vote. So really sit down with your family, sit down with your friends, and think about a plan around voting, how you're going to get this done ultimately. I think that's what's so important for folks to know. Okay, on this early voting day, we're gonna be ready to go. And here on Friday, the 18th, it's gonna be National Black Voter Day. And so that's the day that we're going to give out information. We're going to let people know about how you can vote, when you can vote, where you can vote. In the state of North Carolina, people are voting right now. They've had early vote already or mail-in ballots already start. So the first thing before they even press that button when they get in there, I would get them there because, we've had, it's our obligation to make sure that we get there to make the choice. Once they get there to make the choice, we believe we have the candidate and we can convince them at that point.
So, man, well, look, that's all we got the time for today, man. Trey Baker, y'all, Director of African American Engagement for the Biden campaign, man. Thank you so much for joining us, brother. It really was a pleasure, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Before you go, when you hear Black with No Chaser, what comes to mind?
So, all right. For me, it's personal because I know these cats. Like I remember when the logo wasn't so fancy.
Hey, come on.
so for me, it's actually a very personal connotation for some people who I know will bring it to you real, will bring it to you unfiltered, but also has the substance on the back end to really back up what they're talking about. And so that's what I hear when I hear Black with No Chaser. It also reminds me of how I drink both my coffee and my liquor. Either Black with No Chaser or brown with no chaser. So I just think, for me, it's very personal. I know the back end of this. I know when this started and watched it grow. So beyond just the name, I do really recognize and support and feel just so proud of the movement itself. And so I just want to thank y'all for bringing the Black Lunch Break to the people because folks need to know. And then I think it's so important that we continue these conversations, build y'all up, make sure we're a part of supporting Black-owned media. We're making the largest Black-owned media buy in the history of campaigning, and so we believe it's so important to take these messages out to the people. So I just wish Black with No Chaser all the success in the world. And I'm glad, I'm glad we got some of these guys out of here, man, and brought the ladies in. Cause
all right, don't start.
Because everybody, we ain't just trying to sit up here and see Cirillo and CJ.
That's funny. You said that last week we had an episode and it was all the ladies that catered to the show. But we appreciate the love and we definitely appreciate your support. We are so proud of everything that you have done. I'm also a Tougalooan right with you. So, of course, we're supporting the history meeting the future every day of the week. And you have been doing a phenomenal job with everything that you're doing. So we are proud of you, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. Anything that you need, Black with No Chaser is right here for you.
Appreciate that.
man.
Appreciate that. We're gonna keep the moss hanging low and the eagles flying high.
That's right.
So that's what we do.
Yeah, get this guy out of here, man. Trey Baker, y'all, Director of African American Engagement for the Biden-Harris campaign. Thank you so much, brother, man. Keep doing your thing and best of luck rest of the way, man.
All right. Appreciate you.
All right.
Right on.
All right, y'all. It's about that time of the show, man. About to wrap everything up, man. Thank y'all once again for joining the Black Lunch Break. This is episode 4 of season 2, man. But look, if you haven't, make sure you can advertise with BlackWithNoChaser, even right here on the Black Lunch Break. So make sure you reach out to us at info@blackwithnochaser.com on that. And for the shop, man, make sure y'all check it out at blackwithnochaser.myshopify.com, man. Go cop y'all some merch, man. All that signature tees and all the hoodies we got. We got new merch on the way. Make sure you following all the brands right there and the people that make this show possible, man. So anyway, last words. See, Mariana, what's good?
I hope that you all understand the power of saving more than just your dollar, because times are changing. So just a deep reminder that hashtag you should know is about non-traditional saving. It's about, sustainability, because we're going to think black and live black and love black and do black. We're going to have to preserve black. So that's my final words, my final thoughts.
My final words, as always, is protect your aura. No one can do it for you.
That's right.
Listen, now before we get out of here, we're going to end one more again with that video. You guys seem to love that. So before we
black.
Get out, let's play this video one more time, and we'll get out of you guys' hair.
Rah.
BDE Music Group presents Mississippi Votes. 5 weeks. The future and I see it clear. If you can look around, you can see it's near. Up to us. Yeah, this may be the realest thing I ever wrote. The biggest effort of me trying to give my people hope. I've been talking, now I'm trying out a new approach. I'm just a vessel, credit go to Mississippi votes. Let me show you where we count the most. If I can, let me show you what we got at stake. Pay attention, listen good, ain't no time to break. It's elections every single year here in our state. And with that I say, time is of the essence. If we trying to see a change, then it's time for the time out for just following trends and not knowing we influence the wind. Again and again, we lack knowledge and importance of presence and expect that things just gon' change. Instead, we gon' educate the youth on how to play the game. In 10 years, it won't be the same. Cause we are the future and I see it clear. If you take a look around, you can see it's new. I know it's new to some, but look, it ain't no need to fear. It always come a time to learn, and that time is the future, and it need me. Built for it, so we make it look easy. On the front line, more is a plus, and they say the state need to change. It's up to us. A campaign led by POC. College students and volunteers gonna get us free. Facing charges from groups you can't believe. Getting people in circuit courts can intervene. Yeah. All because we knew who we were looking for. Did research before the time came to vote. We breaking records down here. Oh, you didn't know? Largest youth engagement since 1964. Include, engage, collaboration. Empowering our people with our innovation. Antique is what it is. They testing our patience. We need apps instead of driving to the voting stations. Get out the vote for the community you want to see. Be the voice for the candidate you want to be. No longer looking at our parents for the change. Now I'm looking in the mirror because the answer start with you and me. Yeah, the future and I see it clear. If you take a look around, you can see it's new. I know it's new to some, but look, it ain't no need to fear. It always come a time to learn, and that time is here. The future and it need me. Built for it, so we make it look easy. On the front line, more is a plus, and they say the state need to change. It's up to us. And I say we are the future because in a couple years, the youth only know the work that we did. It's up to us to stress the importance of every election cycle. It's up to us to educate and inform the youth about the entire process. From ranked choice ballots to local government matters. It's up to us.
That's what's up. He got like the black hip hop James Earl Jones thing going on. He got that voice.
Some people love to call him Barry White too.
I'm giving him James Earl Jones right there. That's Darth Vader.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us today for episode 4 of the Black Lunch Break.
Yeah.
Make sure you are following us on all social media networks. If you would love to donate, you can see our hashtag down here in the scroll at the bottom of the screen. You can donate at Cash App or at PayPal. And make sure you are also checking out our website at all times. We have plenty of material on there for you guys to check out. As always, my name is Sika.
I miss
Yo, this Rillo.
Miss Mariana.
See y'all.
We got to get out of here, man. Yeah, got to get that order together.
Man, see y'all on Thursday. Knucklehead. Love y'all black people, man.
Peace, y'all.